The Social Security Trust Fund just moved its expiration date up by a full year. It is now projected to run out in 2032. And when it does, every single benefit check in America gets cut by 28% automatically, with no vote required. In the next 11 minutes, I am going to show you exactly what is happening to Social Security right now. The budget cuts, the staffing crisis, the trust fund math, and the specific steps you should be taking today to protect your retirement income before the deadline arrives. This is not a political opinion. These are numbers from the Congressional Budget Office, published February 2026. And the people who should be paying the closest attention are the 74 million Americans already collecting checks, and the millions more planning to file in the next 6 years. Here is why 2026 is the year this became real. Let's start with what happened inside the agency itself. In spring of 2025, the Department of Government Efficiency cut approximately 7,000 employees from the Social Security Administration. That is about 12% of the entire workforce. Gone. But here is the part most people missed. Before those cuts, the SSA had already hit a 50-year staffing low. They were already underwater. DOGE did not trim the fat. It cut into the bone. The result? Field offices across the country are running on skeleton crews. Customer service phone lines have wait times so long the agency stopped publishing the data. Hundreds of local office workers have been reassigned to answer phones, doing a job they were not trained for, just to keep the system from collapsing. If you have tried to call Social Security in the past year, you already know what this feels like. And it is not getting better. Now let's talk about the money. The Social Security Trust Fund is not a bank account. It is a system where current workers pay taxes that fund current retirees. For decades, more money came in than went out. The surplus was invested in Treasury bonds. That is the trust fund. But starting in 2021, Social Security began paying out more than it takes in. Every year since, the trust fund has been shrinking. And now, the Congressional Budget Office says the trust fund will be fully depleted by 2032. That is not a worst-case scenario. That is the baseline projection. When the trust fund runs out, Social Security does not disappear. But it can only pay out what comes in through current payroll taxes, and that covers approximately 72% of promised benefits. In real numbers, if your monthly check is $2,071, the 2026 average, a 28% cut drops it to roughly $1,291. That is $580 less per month, nearly $7,000 less per year for the rest of your life. And here is where it gets worse for people who are about to retire. Because the timing of this crisis could not be more dangerous. The largest generation in American history, baby boomers, is hitting retirement age right now. Most are claiming benefits in their 60s. Demand on the system is surging at the exact moment staffing is collapsing, and the trust fund is draining. This is not a future problem. This is a math problem that is already in motion. So what should you actually do about it? First, do not panic into claiming early. One of the biggest mistakes people make during Social Security fear cycles is rushing to file at 62 because they think the money is about to disappear. It is not. Benefits will still be paid. The question is, how much? If you claim at 62 and take a reduced benefit, and then Congress passes a reform that preserves full benefits, which they have done every single time this has happened in history, you locked yourself into a permanently lower check for nothing. Second, understand the 2026 changes that already happened. Your COLA adjustment this year is 2.8%. That bumps the average monthly benefit from $2,015 to $2,071. That is $56 more per month, not nothing but barely keeping pace with inflation. The earnings limit if you are working while collecting has risen to $24,180. Earn above that, and Social Security withholds $1 for every $2 over the limit. And a major rule change most people missed. The WEP and GPO provisions were repealed. If you are a public worker, a teacher, firefighter, or police officer who was penalized for having a government pension, your full Social Security benefit has been restored. This affects approximately 2.8 million Americans, and many do not even know it happened. Third, build a plan that does not depend on Social Security staying at 100%. This is the most important step. Whether benefits get cut by 28%, 15%, or 0, the smartest retirees are the ones who built income from multiple sources. Social Security should be one leg of the stool, not the entire chair. That means looking at what you have in retirement accounts, what withdrawal rate your savings can support, whether Roth conversions make sense now before tax rates potentially rise, and whether your current insurance and income plan is structured to absorb a reduction in government benefits. If your entire retirement depends on a $2,071 monthly check from an agency running on a skeleton crew with a trust fund that has a 6-year countdown, that is not a plan. That is a prayer. Fourth, watch Congress, not the headlines, the actual legislation. Social Security has faced insolvency projections before. In 1983, the trust fund was months from depletion. Congress passed a bipartisan reform that raised the retirement age, increased payroll taxes, and made some benefits taxable. It worked. The fund was solvent for 40 more years. The most likely outcomes in the next few years include some combination of raising the payroll tax cap, adjusting COLA calculations, gradually increasing the full retirement age, or means testing benefits for high earners. None of these are guaranteed. But the political cost of cutting benefits for 74 million voters is enormous. History says Congress will act. The question is when and what form the fix takes. Here is the bottom line. Social Security is not dying, but it is under more pressure than at any point in the last 40 years. The trust fund is shrinking. The workforce that administers it has been gutted. And the generation that needs it most is filing claims right now. The people who come through this in the best shape will not be the ones who panicked. They will be the ones who planned, who diversified their income, who understood the rules, and who made decisions based on math, not fear. If you are within 10 years of retirement and you do not have a written income plan that accounts for a possible Social Security reduction, that is the single most important financial step you can take this year. Subscribe to Retirement Decoded for weekly breakdowns on the rules, numbers, and strategies that actually protect your retirement.